Welcome back, everyone. Unite Mics Mayhem Season 2, Week 1, well underway. We just saw Z's take care of Kakuna Matata. And up next, we're going to have GT versus Shungite, which I keep wanting to say Shug Knight,
It's hard.
but it's completely different. And also, while we were on break, it gave us a quick moment to do our first Urshifu license giveaway. So I drew a random viewer here, and the winner of that is Miss Drevis with two M's at the start. Miss Drevis with two M's at the start. So I'm going to message you right now.
Yeah, you'll be getting a message from Deuce next, not the Unite Mics account, I think.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
sweet. So just as you know, it won't be it won't be our official account, but it is through Deuce next, so it's legit. Don't worry. Yeah. All
So
right.
I have messaged you directly here. But Zoinks, we haven't really talked about what are these teams playing for here?
That is something we haven't talked about so far. These teams are going to be playing for one $100 cash prize at the end of this event, and if they win, they get invited to our winners night, December 21st. We are going to have the champions from last season ascended, as well as the winners from each week of Unite Mics Mayhem. We do need to have a makeup week for last week. We'll get that sorted out, but still a chance to play again in a future tournament against some great competition and potentially a larger prize pool than just that $100 mark. We haven't exactly nailed down the details for what that's going to look like yet, so we won't. So I'm not going to, promise anything yet, but we do have some exciting news to bring up with that very, very soon.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
We had a little bit of an issue last week, but it's all right. We're rallying back. We're getting back in here, and we've got Unite Mics Mayhem Season 2 well underway now.
We do, and we are going to have our game number 2. You already mentioned the teams, Shungite versus GT. Shungite, definitely a new team name to our scene, but I believe we've had almost all of these players play in a Mayhem before, so we are going to have a great match up next. I know she's is going to be waiting in the wings to see who's going to win this match, but Deuce next, we need to start this thing off with a coin flip. Why don't we flip that heads or tails? Let's say heads, GT wins, tails, Shungite wins, and they get the choice.
It is heads. It is heads. So GT is going to be getting the choice.
All right, I will message them right now. Let's bring up that draft screen. GT is going to be getting that first ban of the game as well as the first pick. Now, we know a lot of the players on this squad. We have, of course, Kratos, one of the players that has played in the World Championships, a very, very incredible central area player, but has also played that attacker role and has a lot of flexibility.
Yeah, just definitely a player to watch in this matchup. But there's no slouches on these teams here. GT is a returning squad and a team that you and I have followed quite a bit and are pretty big fans of.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of a lot of the players. I just mentioned one. I really do like all the players. I want to make that very clear. But yeah, some incredible talent on both of these rosters. Now, we talked about some GT. Shungite, though, as well, have some fantastic members themselves. JL is one player that we talk about a lot here at Unite Mics Mayhem. You may know them as the Hoopa extraordinaire that was playing on Nemesis previously, has now formed up this new squad. And let me just push that down. Forgot that was GT. First ban has come through, though. We have GT banning away the Mr. Mime as their first ban. It is now going to be Shungite's time.
Do we know the story behind the name? Do we know the story behind the name?
No idea.
It's not Shungite. We know that.
It's true. It's something that OG came up with, apparently. So, I'll leave it at that. OG, another player that played out the World Championships, though. Who am I to say? It was a pretty impressive performance from them. We do have a ban here for them to come through. Blissey is going to be the ban for Team Shungite. So 2 tank selections being selected for both these players. Blissey kind of filling both roles, support and tank, but I think Mr. Mime could be given that same credit as well.
Yeah, it's super interesting, right? They're given the set supporter role. I think Wigglytuff is another one that falls into that mix a
Right.
little bit, given that supporter kind of background, that orange background, but really likes to get in the mix and throw its big body in there. And we've got GT taking the Goblin, the Sableye, the Ghost Goblin right out of the gate, and we're up for some tomfoolery now.
Absolutely. Gremlin, Goblin, whatever description you want to give this, what I consider to be adorable little Pokemon. Definitely a menace on the ranked ladder. Now, this is a great selection just because the Pokemon is very powerful, but I do consider JL on Shungite to be probably the strongest Sableye player I have seen so far here in North America, especially in tournament play. I think they've been a very, very phenomenal choice for that pick. So GT taking that Pokemon on their side also prevents Shungite from not selecting it. JL or Shungite is going to make their next two selections now: Mamoswine and Scizor.
I am loving the Mamoswine love. I'm loving the
Yeah.
Scizor love. It really shows that these new items, this draft format is being really worked on. It's being really tested by these teams, and they're coming to, top players are coming to similar conclusions. The strength of Mamoswine, the strength of what I presume will be a Scyther that we've seen in game 2. Hopefully we'll see again. I really enjoy watching Scyther. I think it's a very fun Pokemon to both watch and play. So, but GT's going to be on the block here. They need to figure out, now that they don't have a Mamoswine, what they're going to be doing. Are they going to sandbag? Are they going to maybe take a late game Slowbro? Are they going to take a Wigglytuff somewhere in the middle there to have a big body in the mix? A lot of good options left for GT here, Zoinks.
That is true. Now, I forgot to fix Nightbot, so I'm going to try to do that now if I can. But all right now GT is typing in their selections. I think that was some great guesses from them. A lot of strong picks left on the table. Tank might be something that GT needs to look after. Eggnoob definitely has a large hero pool. They've played many Pokemon. Snorlax not being in the game, Mamoswine being taken by Shungite already, Blissey and Mime gone off the table. Not many Pokemon left, but I guess we'll get to that later, as GT is going to select Azumarill and Ninetales. Not Blastoise. Azumarill and Ninetales are going to be selections for GT.
Yeah, so a lot of people have said Ninetales is a really one of the key winners here with the new items that were added to the game.
Oh, interesting.
We're gonna see if GT can leverage that a little bit. Ninetales, I'm excited to see these Pokemon. We're seeing Azumarill again as well. Looked great in the top path last game for Shees. There we go.
Yeah.
Almost duffed it again for Shees. So again, great Pokemon we're seeing here. We are starting to see a little bit of a rinse, again, leading me to believe that these top level teams are working a lot in draft mode, and they're finding out which Pokemon just stand just a little bit higher than the others here and getting prioritized. And Shungite, after my heart, grabbing themselves a Wigglytuff. Let's go.
I was gonna say, this is really looking like a Dupe Snacks draft here in the top in the top side of things. Shungite going with a Mamoswine, which I know you like to watch. I don't know if you like playing Mamoswine very much, actually. I don't know if I've played much with your Mamo, but I've played a lot with your Wiggly. And Shungite making this selection is going to be very exciting. They got it all on this team comp right now. They have the melee presence with Scizor. They have the absolute range dominance with Mew, and then Mamo and Wiggly are just going to make life very difficult for GT. GT on the other side are just going with some very powerful, I would say maybe more all-arounder, not the class, but just sort of how they fill out a team composition on their side. They are going to make their final two selections now, looking for any kind of tank or maybe any kind of supporting Pokemon, and they do here. Trevenant is their first selection, and the second one is the other grass ghost Pokemon, Decidueye.
There you go. So they've got some range and change, something that can actually battle on that axis of just pure distance as the Mew, and that's of course Decidueye there. And Trevenant's going to be looking to get in the face of this Scyther as soon as it goes in. We're going to be seeing just some great jockeying, and of course I can really see the Trevenant engaging with the Azumarill, getting in the back pocket, and then of course you got your surprise Jack in the Box-esque Sableye going to be appearing out of nowhere to get into the mix. A good front to back composition from GT, and it's looking pretty good. Shungite, they've got one more bite at the apple to round out this squad.
Yeah, I think one thing that GT is sort of at a detriment is that they're a very diveable composition. Azumarill, Lonely Ninetales, and Decidueye, well, Azumarill can kind of hold their own, but definitely those former two Pokemon that I just mentioned do not want to be dove upon at all. That being said, looking at Shungite's composition, they don't have a lot of dive potential. Mew definitely can outrange a lot of Pokemon. Decidueye, not one of them. So GT going with a lot of counter selections, like I would say, off this one. And that makes sense. They picked one of the most, powerful meta Pokemon in Sableye at the start, and after that, it's just been kind of playing the counter throughout the rest of the draft. Shungite, though, have their final selection, and I did not expect this one, but I did say they need something to dive, and they maybe picked the original dive Pokemon. It is Talonflame, with the weirdest picture I could have chosen. Talonflame is the final selection for Shungite.
Well, that's definitely a way to get into the back line. The only issue that I necessarily see with that is Decidueye does actually battle at a little bit further distance. So as long as the Decidueyes kind of got their head on a swivel, they should be able to navigate that. However, in team fights, there's way more things to keep in mind than one Pokemon on the other side. And when you're Decidueye and you're scrambling away from a ton, you know what? I'm sure the Talonflame will love to land on top of a crunchy Ninetales up front anyways. So a very unique pick, but that's what draft's all about, baby.
That is very true. I love draft mode. I really can't wait until I can burn this graphic in in a trash can sometime. However, I do love what it brings to the game. Really interesting decisions, and even just the strategy I was discussing with you a moment ago. The counter selections from GT, the just all-arounder selections from Shungite. It really gives so much extra strategy to the game and lets these top players show off their strategy in brand new ways. Now, that being said, they did choose Talonflame, so I have some questions because in my mind there's a lot of other Pokemon that could fill that same role, but I suppose not so many that avoid the poke on the way to the dive. I was thinking something like a Zoroark for that last selection of Shungite, just to have that huge combo potential. But that being said, a Talonflame can click fly whenever they'd like to. They can immediately leap in and then not take any damage on the way to their dive, which is definitely something that this Pokemon can get away with. So maybe the Talonflame is a great selection. We'll have to see it in play. It's definitely going to be taking that central area off the start of the game. You want this Pokemon to be at that level 7 benchmark for the 7-minute fights.
Yeah, and we're kind of maybe thinking this too linearly. Maybe the Talonflame is more about objective secure than something else. But to your point on that last pick, in my mind, I think I was kind of drumming around with a Machamp maybe, something that's a little bit more CC proof that can really get into the mix and get kind of fight from the middle into the Azumarill, but get themselves to the Alolan Ninetales through the Sableye. But here we go. Shungite says Talonflame's the Pokemon for the job, and that's what they're going to be going to work with. So let's see how Thea Sky Ruins treats the Firebird, because the rest of that composition looks right up my alley.
Yeah, could not agree more. Yeah, I love how it's just a Doomsnax draft. That is my favorite thing. We as casters are not allowed to pick favorite teams, but we are allowed to pick favorite Pokemon pretty clearly, and we do so quite often. So this is definitely a composition that we love to see.
A lot of familiar faces here for those of you at home that have been following both Unite Mics and the UCS. So I'm expecting an absolute barn burner here in the Thea Sky Ruins. And I love seeing Rima on that Mew. They're going to be putting on a clinic, and it's going to be up to GT to stem that tide, because if you let Rima take over the game, they certainly will.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the triple glasses as well. The damage is going to be monumental for them. Espo actually has a pretty interesting build on their Sableye as well. GT, of course, going with the very common strategy in North America of the double experience share. Okay, it looks like we are probably going to have a reset. So I've been baited before, chat, but maybe this time it will be true. It looks like, it looks like we are going to see a reset right now. But hey, some interesting compositions we've already talked about. Yeah, we have the jungler on the side of Shungite's game crashing. So we'll get a quick reset and we will get back into game. I'm sorry, everybody, but yeah, I'll bring up draft so we have that to discuss one more time. You were mentioning a player on Shungite. You were talking about Rima and how powerful of a damage player they have been in the just in the history of Unite. I know they have played for many, many teams, but they have played with these players quite a bit. I know they have played with JL for a long time. They have played with OG for a long time. That synergy is already there, so I'm excited to see that. You know, this player who just has a lot of presence in competitive is going to be coming to a great I don't know, I think to a great fruition when they have a team that they're going to be playing with consistently.
Absolutely. And if you want to talk about a team that's been playing together for quite some time, you can look at GT right away. A lot of their players have been in the cut for a while now. Really kind of some violent upstarts in the back half of the UCS and really making waves in that circuit, as well as, you know, doing tons of damage in the Unite Mics Mayhem Season 1, which is why there's such an exciting team to have back, because we know that they're going to provide high octane, high energy games. But you said, randomly, let's talk about these teams. You said that really Espo had an interesting loadout in the Sableye, and I saw that float stone, and I think they're looking to motor across the map and just be not even a thorn in the side, like a 2x4 in the side of Shungite in that early stage of the game.
Yeah, I could not agree more. But the rest of the loadout is interesting too. Of course, the float stone for the speed and the attack damage. Sableye is a attack damage dealer, not a special attack damage dealer, so they will benefit off something like that. They also have the focus band equipped. Now, when I'm thinking about the game plan of a Sableye, it is not very often being in danger to the point where focus band would be relevant at all. I've seen a lot of players running the attack weight in those spots just because they know they're going to be going for constant backcaps and constant scores to make that happen, but instead they're going with the focus band. Just an extra level of protection will be important, but how often will it actually be relevant is what I find myself asking.
I mean, there's an opportunity here for it to be incredibly relevant, right? If the focus on the Sableye is to always live in the opposing central area, then that's going to be worth its weight in gold to give them sustainability and allow to try and eke some of the Pokemon out from the central area player of Shungite. Now, will it have as much... Will its shelf life last the entire game? Maybe not,
Right.
but maybe it doesn't need to, right? If Espo comes out with, you know, at least one buff every time they go into the opposing central area and makes it out because of the focus ban, well, that seems like a pretty reasonable exchange for me.
Yeah, could not agree more. So yeah, there is chances that it could happen for sure. There are chances where it could not, but you are a focus band believer. I can hear it in your voice, Deuce Next. So I
just like a good safety net, eh?
Yeah, I think we all do. So that is practical, you know. This is good,
It's
practical true. Unite Mics action. Let's jump back into our live game. We do have the lobby remade. These players are headed in. Hopefully, we do not have any. We do not have any more problems, but it looks like we are good to go. Yikes! Yet again on a brand new username. That is the player going to be playing the Talonflame this time around. But this time we are headed back in a game. Aspo with that same loadout. Of course, the X speed as the battle item. I really like to see it. But Black's Ninetales, Alolan Ninetales, they get flamed a lot for playing this Pokemon just sort of perma, but they are pretty exceptional at it. And we have that new item, the Rapid Fire Scarf. Auto attacks galore while within Aura Veil. Black's Alolan Ninetales is going to be firing absolute missiles at an alarming rate.
Yeah, kind of surprised that Kratos didn't have that on. That's another Pokemon where people thought, like, yep, that Rapid Fire Scarf might find its way onto Decidueye early, but Kratos saying, no. I think they strapped up the float stone. They're going to be putting a couple rocks in their pocket. You know, the more rocks you put in your pocket, the faster your Pokemon is. So, I don't know if you knew that.
Ah, interesting. Well, when these rocks levitate, I kind of can see it, I suppose. But I believe the reason that they are equipping that weapon, of course, the attack damage, but I think we're going with a Spirit Shackle build, the absolute all-in sniper build on this Pokemon, which, of course, does not benefit as much from the Rapid Fire Scarf. Those arrows have quite a long cooldown. You're not going to be seeing a ton of those this time around.
And there you see the Swinub just waiting, trying to find that Sableye that's going to make its way across the map as the Scythers by themselves. OG doing some decent work, getting there, going to be trying to get their dunks in here, but the Azumarill getting them back the other way. OG going to look to get some points, and that's a quick 3, and Espo's on the babysitting, going to try and bully them out just a hair.
Yeah, bully them out. They look for the KO here. Yeah. Espo chasing down. They do get the stun on that last hit, and Espo is going to find the knockout there. The movement speed of course, the float stone and experience share also giving that passive movement speed just means absolutely nobody can get away. Lakoden getting that last hit means they are evolved into an Azumarill, but Yikes is going to get the chase down. Lakoden gets the healing from the base, not going to get knocked out. Big play there from the Talonflame, but not quite enough to close the gap.
Yeah, bought just enough time for at least JL to get out, right? So it wasn't for absolutely nothing. Here comes the Sableye popping out of nowhere, looking for doing some tons of damage. JL's getting chopped down. OG's getting in the pocket. They're going to try and stem it back the other way. But it's Black CH in the bottom path getting the KO on the Wigglytuff here as GT's looking good. They're getting tons of points, and they're bullying Rima all the way back up the path. Tons of time being bought for the team to score some points. But here comes Idol to get tons of damages, forces Black back out. Big time Sing by rolling it down. They're going to try and put everybody to sleep here. Can they convert and get some KOs? Big engage by JL. That's going to make them a Piloswine. And now Black CH is on the scramble. They need to get away because there is a tidal wave coming in their face.
Tank diff. That is what that is called. Tanks finding themselves some big KOs. Espo is here, though. This support Pokemon is only considered to be a support in the fact that you have to call it in for reinforcements, but it's an absolute nuke when it arrives. So Sableye doing so much damage there. Eggnoob can't find a last hit there, still sitting at 0 Eos energy, and is knocking at the door of 6, but has not quite found it yet.
So we're getting chunked a little bit. Rima dealing good damage, able to peel out and not get damaged themselves. But here comes Sableye. Espo's rolling into that central path. They're going to see what they can pick out of the pockets of this Talonflame.
Their movement speed is just absurd. Like, they are schmoving out here on Thea Sky Ruins. It is ridiculous. A big KO there from Kratos in the top path. Finds OG on the Scyther. Is going to get a big knockout. JL knows, like I mentioned, they were a fantastic Sableye player. They know the spots. They know the Sableye spots that they are going to be hunting for them every chance they get. Kratos has Shadow Sneak as one escape tool, Spirit Shackle as another. Lakoden is not in there in time to stun Idol and does not get the KO and save their teammate. They do get the KO, but it is a retrospect kind of situation.
Yeah, JL makes it just back into their goal zone, onto their goal pad there. 3 Eos energy required to break that thing, set up for a prime overcap and a good look. Shungite looking to get on top of this Regirock, but there's the Solar Beam. Eggnoob getting absolutely chunked. They're putting it down and rolling it down. Black getting the KO back on the Scyther, though, and there's 2 players down for Shungite, and GT's got the advantage in the bottom path. Big time engage as Idol comes in, but Rima gets taken out because that's a Decidueye Unite move. Announced the Regirock catching all those arrows, and I didn't think you could stitch a Quill into a rock that well, but that finds its mark. Holy smokes, that Spirit Shackle, half HP, and a further sneeze takes care of the Talonflame, and now GT's getting on a little bit of roll in the bottom path as they're putting tons of pressure on, rolling it down, as falling it down as they're KO'd quickly, and they're going for a big time push. Oh.
Collateral. You don't get to see those every day. I feel like it's been a minute since Mew has been meta like that. Rima lines up 2 of them, corner pocket, and absolutely smokes them. Big play from that, but you're right. The story of that team fight was absolutely GT. So many knockouts. They overstayed their welcome a little bit. Rina definitely found the punish, but still a goal zone break and a lead of over 70 points, 71 points. Quick pass, is something that GT is going to be taking all the way to the bank.
Yeah, GT looked great, and don't undersell Kratos with their 2 KOs that they got. Stealing that Buttlebee out from under Shungite as well. They got 2 KOs on the way out the door. So, yeah, that Solar Beam found its mark, but that's not before an arrow found those foreheads. As Espo gets chunked, they're trying to make it out in good coverage by Eggnoob to allow them to retreat.
I love the Electro Ball play there from Rima. Yeah, you can go invis, but a sure hit move is going to chase you down no matter how hard you are to see. So great play there from just the Mew player of Rima to have great selection and just great heads up play. Frozen keeps the Azumarill in line of that Solar Beam. Big damage. Some Unite moves getting thrown back the other way. Snow Globe is used, but JL still wants this fight.
Yeah, Black gets onto the berry, and JL gets KO'd because there's too much HP sitting on the side of GT. Rolling it down, Sing can't find its mark here as Rima uses Surf to try and escape, and rolling it down, getting in the face with a Dazzling Gleam, so Rima can escape, of course. Here comes OG, though. They have the opportunity to close out, but it's the Talonflame that sweeps in, Flame Sweep, actually, cleaning up the streets of Thea Sky Ruins as there's one player down, and Lakoding's getting chunked. Rolling it down is in there, but of course, it's Idol getting credit for that, and that's exactly... From way downtown, from outer space, is Kratos finding the marks with those arrows.
It's ridiculous. I mean, they're really creating parity throughout these games, turning losing situations into better ones. Honestly, our camera isn't widescreen enough to see the absolute incredible plays from these attackers. Rima and Kratos putting on a clinic about how to do damage from off screen. JL finds the first dodge of the century. They are going to have to look for more of those if they want to stay up in fighting in this game. Black already doing damage. Look at how fast those auto attacks are. Aura Veil Choice Scarf. This Regia Alecki is brought down to a sliver of HP, and it is secured by Kratos.
Secured by Kratos, JL gets taken out in the crosshairs. That arrow is so strong, splitting him in half like a Robin Hood arrow, hitting the soul of both the Mamoswine and the Regieleki. And look at OG able to take this Regirock before Egnoob can pull up and do anything here. So Shungite getting a little courtesy basement Regi. Oh, they're collapsing on OG. OG forces out the Unite move. Can they convert? JL with some good support here. They're going to be able to push back the other way after the Scyther goes down. Rolling it down and throw a Sing. Can they catch a couple? They do. They're going in, but look at those arrows from way downtown. They're hitting every mark. Nobody can miss here, and certainly not Idol as they're trying to get the retreat. Egnoob uses a little bit of little bit of curse action here to get some space, and it looks like things are going to settle out in the bottom path for just a moment.
Yeah, that Regirock being knocked out by OG, I think could be relevant. They were desperate need of experience on Shungite's side. They only have one Pokemon at level 12. OG just hitting that mark finally. Now this Scyther is powerful, but they don't have too many targets they can get to easily, especially with a confused Ray Sableye. Rima brought down to less than half HP off of one arrow. One more of those, they actually dodged that second one. They are still up and relevant in this fight, but Black Aura Veil defense on this goal zone is an absolute turret.
A good push by Egnoob. They're trying to find rolling it down, who's kind of having trouble engaging here as Egnoob's playing very far forward, keeping JL from in the mix, and that just means Kratos and Black can throw all the damage into the face of Shungite and the players that they actually want, forcing actually Idol to get away, but that's just a nice little sneeze by Kratos to take care of them, get themselves another KO. Rima's forced to reset. 2 players down for Shungite as they're trying to find their way here. 10 seconds until Rayquaza hits the map.
Yeah, Idol really feeling the pain of the glass cannon of Talonflame. Even a Shadow Sneak chasing them down is enough to get the knockout. It's so tough to run away, especially when a confused Ray Sableye is being a menace. They, of course, are going to start flipping the Rayquaza, not in any fear of it going the other direction, mostly thanks to instead Shungite playing the defense game plan, hiding back, trying to find these knockouts quickly and break these shields at the very least.
Oh, the ticker of the score shield goes in, and that Idol's Unite move doesn't catch Egnoob off of the goal pad here, as now they're just playing in the face of Shungite. They're getting to this home goal zone, that gut goal zone, and they're going to get Hundo Burgers Ducket time. Shungite gets out of this one before it gets too crazy.
Yeah, unfortunately, that Flame Sweep just a hair too short. The unstoppable keyword was already on the Trevenant, so not going to get pushed away before they attempted to score. I assume that was the game plan, pushing them all away before this score is even attempted. But GT with a great play in that game number 1. 446, obviously the damage would have been more if we headed longer into that match. Shungite just wants to get back into draft for their game number 2. They are going to have the choice of first or second pick headed into our second match, though.
I mean, how impressive was Kratos? Off the screen, you just see a big-time arrow soar across and find its mark 95% of the time. We saw JL dodge 1, but not only was Kratos hitting into Shungite and getting critical damage before they could actually engage, they were actually stealing things like Bunnelbees and Alterias out from under Shungite, which they thought were wild Pokemon that they had for pretty much free. But here comes Kratos taking money out of their pockets and food off their plate.
Wow, yes, a lot of theft being done. Maybe the not a moral high ground Robin Hood situation.
Yeah. Just all about oh, now I can't even think of I can't even think of the name, so it doesn't matter. It was going to be a terrible reference anyways. It was going to be a terrible reference.
No problem at all. Yes, but we have the results of the second game. Of course, Shungite lost that first one, means they get the choice of first or second ban. They are going to be selecting first ban. So we are headed into our second game of draft. I definitely think if you looked at it on paper, GT had a very, very strong draft game, countering a lot of the picks of Shungite, as well as locking up that Sableye. So Shungite are going to be picking this first one. If you were their team, you were obviously playing from behind, headed into game number 2. Dupe Snacks, what would you consider to be the most powerful ban here?
Most powerful. I mean, that Decidueye looks strong, but certainly you can't ban that. I don't know. I just think Sableye is such a just an annoyance that I want to just take that out of the equation and make everybody play heads up, right? Having one invisible character scampering around the map is just a kerfuffle. So have everybody play heads up and just get after it on a true 5-on-5.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. We do have our first ban here. Shungite is going to be banning the Blissey again. I believe this was their ban in game number 1. So now GT has their selection of first ban. I believe were they the Mr. Mime ban last game? I think they were. So they banned out the Mr. Mime last game. They could let it through. They might need a Sableye ban here, because if I'm Shungite, that is absolutely my first Pokemon selection if it gets through this banning phase. So let's see. There we go. Agnew does ban away the Sableye. You got to use it for one game, but we might not see it for the rest of Mayhem.
Yeah, it might be one of those things. If you get first ban and you get the first opportunity to pick it, you leave it on the map and force the other team to take it out from under you. But hey, if you're not going to get a chance at it, go ahead and take it out of the equation. And like I said, have both teams play face up with 5 players that you can actually track on the map.
Agreed. Now Shungite has their first pick selection. Surprising me with it, they are going to be grabbing the Mamoswine. I mean, they definitely found a lot of value off this Pokemon in their game number 1, but still, this Pokemon finds such a strong draft presence at the start of our drafts every single game.
Yeah, without a doubt. JL felt comfortable. They had some good engages. I think they just need to tighten up a little bit how they're engaging, and I think they can find themselves to some success here. GT with a lot of powerful Pokemon still available, and they took the Scyther/Scizor pretty early last time. So I'm honestly looking to see that happen again here, especially with back-to-back picks.
Yeah. GT now has 2 in a row. You are correct. Yeah, we saw so many good ones. Decidueye was so late in their draft last time too, and was just such big impact throughout the game. It'd be a surprise to me if they go for it right off the start, but who knows? If I'm GT right now, one of my selections is absolutely Mr. Mime here. I do not want to give that up. And okay, I did guess correctly. We have a Mr. Mime and a Hoopa pick for GT.
I mean, Espo is a mean Hoopa too, so they're really giving the kids a lot of tools to play with today, especially in that support role. So got to give GT credit for tipping the cap there. And of course, I can only imagine that Eggnoob is going to be picking up that Mr. Mime as well. So GT really posturing themselves in a good position, and maybe really just feeling very comfortable with all the damage carries in the game. Kratos feeling comfortable. Black CH, of course, a great pathing player on those damage carries. Maybe they're saying like, look, we can take the dregs. We can make it work. As long as our front line and support is sorted out, we're in good shape, baby.
That is true. Yeah, I think the Mime is a great spot. Eggnoob with a long history on this Pokemon. Espo also a long history on the Hoopa for sure. But in this meta, I mean, Hoopa definitely does not see very much play for a reason, in my opinion. We'll have to see how they want to play it. That being said, a good dive partner could play some trick Fanaforce shenanigans. Who knows? But we do have the next 2 picks for Shungite. We have Alolan Ninetales and Scizor.
I like those picks. 2 high-octane Pokemon. Of course, Black CH made the Alolan Ninetales look great in Game 1, and that Scyther was no slouch either in Game 1. So Shungite getting themselves 2 very good consolation damage dealers here in these early parts of this draft.
Yeah, I mean, the Alolan Ninetales definitely seems like we are taking this away from Black. Otherwise, I think we would see a Mew selection here again. The Mew popped off really well in game number 1, but I'm surprised by the Scyther pick again. OG Scyther definitely left a lot to be desired in the early game, in my opinion. However, it has popped off in the past. I did see a suggestion from Curios that they would put it into the jungle next time around, so that could be the selection they're going for. GT locking in their next 2 picks, though. Blastoise makes their entry here into our Shungite GT game for the first time, and following it up with the Decidueye, making sure they lock that up again. How can you take Kratos off this Pokemon right now? They were just an absolute star on it last game.
Yeah, it looked great, and you have a great Pokemon to play in front of it here in that Blastoise. Great Unite move to really do well in the front lines, control the tides of a 5-on-5 showdown, and really opening up the door for Kratos to find their mark with those arrows, as we know they are wont to do. So GT setting themselves up again for success. Shungite needs to really figure out how they're going to get past this Mime and Blastoise and into the faces of Kratos' Decidueye, because I don't think Kratos was KO'd more than once last game.
It's true. Oh, you wanted to get up in the faces and maybe cause absolute devastating damage, Deuce Next? How about a Garchomp pick? How about a Garchomp pick to achieve that from Shungite? I am excited about this Pokemon selection. It is a very powerful Pokemon in the right hands. It's a very weak Pokemon in the wrong hands. There is few Pokemon in the game that I think are as feast or famine as Garchomp is, and Garchomp really, to me, is just that Pokemon that is all in. It's a win more Pokemon. If you're ahead on experience, if you're able to take these fights easily, it is incredible. But if you are playing from behind, it is almost impossible to get anything done. On the other hand, Azumarill plays well from pretty much any point in the game. A really rough early 3 levels, but as soon as you tick over to that 4 spot, you are feeling fantastic. So a great last selection there from GT.
We'll have to keep an eye on Shungite's Garchomp to see what items they're going to be bringing to the Theosky Ruins. That's something I kind of want to keep track of.
Yes,
on
absolutely.
GT side, again, they have just a really good front-to-back composition here. Whether they use Trick Phantom Force on Hoopa or they're using those hyperspace holes to kind of move around the map, you can't undersell how powerful that Unite move is to bring everybody Avenger style into the core battle that you want to engage in, but also allowing your players to kind of live on other sides of the map, but still making up to like a Regieleki, for example, and really turn the tides of that fight. So GT's got a lot of options here. Espo didn't pick Hoopa out of the gate for no reason. So that's the Pokemon on GT side that I'm going to be keeping track of.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the Pokemon that I think is going to attract a lot of attention, not just from us, but just the viewers too. And I'm going to give a quick thank you to everyone who's tuning in to Unite Mics Mayhem Season 2. This is a really fun tournament series we love to run. It is going to be draft format every single week. Hopefully we got some bug fixes coming the way of the official draft format, because we would love to see that in game, but we're just going to be emulating that as much as we can with these graphics ahead of us. These teams are set and ready to go. Right now, GT leads this best of 3 1-0. It is a win or go home scenario for Shungite. They want to tie this one up and bring it to a best of 3.
Without a doubt, GT not going to give any room for this squad to breathe, and they're certainly eyeing up that Garchomp, and they're saying, just like what you were mentioning, Zoinks, we cannot let them start snowballing and get ahead of us, because once the snowball gets ahead of us, well, it's rolling down the hill and it turns into an avalanche, right? And that becomes a lot harder to deal with. So GT is going to want to have to, have primary focus when they're going into engagements to sort that out early, and on Shungite's side, the exact opposite. They want to make sure they can get that Garchomp off and into space early, so that GT, even with the Space Ghost Pokemon, has no shot of catching up with them through that Hoopa. So here we go. Got a good squad here. Rima and the Alolan Ninetales is going to be a lot of fun to watch as well.
Yeah, of course, running that Muscle Band and Rapid Fire Scarf like we mentioned before, and the Scope Lens. I do like the Scope Lens on this Pokemon. I think it's a really, really good item selection. We have Isle moving over towards the Scyther this time, and OG is going to be taking the Garchomp. Both of these Pokemon, all-arounder selections, can find themselves in either lane or either path. Not too sure where they will go, but still will have impact no matter where they head, I am sure. Now, I am excited to see Kratos yet again heading into the central area for GT. Triple damage item Decidueye is just a menace to deal with, not to mention one of those items is the attack weight, so if things go well in an early team fight and get 2, even 3 stacks in the early game, Decidueye is a unstoppable source of damage for the side of Shungite to deal with. They do have a couple more Pokemon capable of diving, though, and the Talonflame definitely did not see as much success as they wanted to in game number 1.
Yeah, I like the adjustment and the pivot off of that here. We really need to keep an eye on OG where they're going. It looks like Scyther's going to get the first rotation through the central area, maybe doing shades of what we saw last year with Venusaur, right? Having it hit the path and then take the second and third clear, just letting the central area Pokemon get out of the starting blocks early. But now we got a 3-on-2 here as Rima and rolling it down are getting the pressure put on them, but doing a pretty good stand here as Black goes through his headbutt, darts through, and they're squirting water all over him. Super Soaker style, doing tons of damage. Espo's on the chase. Let's see if they can stun it down. No, they just focus on the Bunnelby, and Shungite pushed out because of the player disadvantage there.
I was going to say, speaking of shades of the past, a 3-person bottom path? Unbelievable. Haven't seen this in years, but there we go. Hoopa finding its way in. Just Astonish, a great stunning tool, but also a fantastic secure option in that early game. You can try to take away that precious experience from Rima and rolling it. Now, you were mentioning we could see a split jungle, but it's also not unheard of to see the Scyther just remain in that central area the entirety of the game. Scyther just so much burst potential. You want to have that on your side as well.
Already a Gabite is OG as they poach all the birds in the middle because they're hungry chicken buckets. Here we go. Lakoding gets pushed back to JL and all of them are smothered. KO Shrika too. Why go to the central area, Zoinks, when you're getting fed in the top path? Come on.
OG takes a citrus berry, absolute grocery robbery there. It had only a sliver of HP gone, but it's no longer gone as they secure that berry. More stacks head in on that top path. You see Idle scoring micro dunks there in the top, making sure their attack weight is good and ready for the future fights to come. They may go down here, but they will keep on the presence. Eggnoob only at level 4, but is running that experience share. They are going to be coming a little bit behind the experience race to Rolling It, who's currently doing quite well in a 1v2.
Yeah, they've bought a lot of time for the rest of the squad, namely for the Scyther to sit in the middle of the map and get all of the birds by themselves because nobody's able to switch their attention to Idle in the middle. So that Scyther's getting big, and Shungite looking really good in the early stages of this one.
Yeah, no kidding. Aspo getting some early damage done to JL, but then trying to retreat. Now, these compositions, like we talked about, we have a lot of range damage, but a good amount of bulk for GT as well. Kratos gets in danger and immediately vamooses there. Red buff Decidueye is going to be slowing with every single auto attack they deal. Look at how JL is just locked in place. Idle with a big engage. The Coding may not have the healing to sustain. They do not. Idle takes almost no damage there as well as the Spirit Shackle misses, and the onslaught of attack is going to continue for Shungite.
OG Relentless going deep into the path, actually getting into that slow zone here of GT. Shungite playing very far forward, and you love how they engaged, right? They somehow got into the middle of that trio and split them and sent them scrambling in different directions. And once they're split like that, it's easy pickings for them, and they looked great. Shungite with a great engage here. 2-on-2 action in the bottom path in the basement. Reggie getting shredded a little bit, running it down. We know they can hold it down in the face of 2, and they're going to try to do it again. But here comes JL with a little bit of support. Huge Spirit Shackle chunks Rima and gets the KO on the water spin, rapid spin water spout there. But here comes Idle, gets a KO 2 back the other way. KO Strika 2, and they're absolutely slicing and dicing. Kratos couldn't even fly out of that nightmare as Idle takes care of them, and Espo's on the retreat. They're going to pick up berries, but they are nowhere near these objectives as the rock is going to be for Shungite, and so is the Regieleki.
Yeah, Regieleki was earned, obviously, in a 1v1 duel of the century, Lakoding versus OG. I feel like we've had this matchup time and time again across so many tournaments in North America, but still, they are going to take it. OG is going to find their level 9 evolution, put on the hat and cape here as they keep on the fight. Lakoding brought down to half HP already. The shred of Garchomp, just ridiculous. Unite move there onto the goal zone, respond in kind from Lakoding. Dragon Rush trying to push them off the pad, take them away from that source of healing, but it's not enough as the Azumarill earns that KO and brings things back up to parity.
Shungite just a bit too late off that huge push by OG. They had a real opportunity to get some key KOs, rolling it down, just scrambling. They want to take over to Mamoswine in a bad way here, as Rena's forced to snow globe in the face of Lakota and Espo. Espo's going to try and track it down, but it's Idol coming back in with the engage. They get KO, and they want another one. They get 2 again. Eggnoob's next one, the chopping block. Huge time engage. Can they get 3? They do. Is it going to be 4? Is it going to be a Wendy's 4 for 4? Bang, lock it up. Nobody in sight to give them the ace here, but Shungite and Idol, wow, that is a Scyther to be reckoned with. That thing is looking good.
Yeah, you have to wonder how that Pokemon got selected so late in the draft by them. Absolutely dominant there. 4 knockouts and a great movement text, by the way, too. That's something that can get missed a lot on these huge burst carry potential Pokemon. You see something like that, you see how it's so flashy, you just roll your eyes, broken Pokemon, whatever you think you want to claim, but the movement, landing every single hit, finding the resets, it's just so phenomenal. Idol playing this Pokemon absolutely perfectly to soar through GT's composition. Shungite is running away with this one. 204 to 30, and their level lead is actually exceptional as well.
OG just looking to poach members from GT like the movie Taken. Nobody going to be able to call up and save them once he takes you onto their side of the map. But now GT's going to make it about this Regice here. JL, Remoon rolling it down, are going to get in the mix. Rapid Spin Water Spout going to buy some time here, do a ton of damage, but it's Mr. Mime with the Unite move. And then Blastoise Unite comes out and finds a lot of purchase here as Remoon and JL are chunked. They're actually getting bullied out a little bit despite the damage not being too great, but there's an arrow finding rolling it down. A little bit of action here, and a Water Spout Rapid Spin sorts out the big old Mamoswine, but who else but Idol getting KOs in the backline, looking good and forcing all of GT scrambling as the Regieleki was taken for GT, but it's just going to hit that first goal zone. They're trying to close it before that thing hits, and they only get an overcap of 1 Zoinks.
Oof, yeah, an overcap of 1 is not what you like to see, especially with a split push not even on the horizon there for GT. OG is getting in deep, uses the Unite move for a little bit of shielding, mostly, I assume. The attack damage will do well, though, as Decidueye, not a strong defensive Pokemon. They get a lot of damage done. They may even get out for free. Idol getting into that central area yet again. Level 13, extremely high. The damage potential only scales from here. Lakota engaging onto Rima. Rima caught out a little bit. Unite move utilized. Gets in a lot of damage. The healing from JL, not quite enough, and they're going to lose that 1v1 versus Lakota.
Idol might get 15 before the 3-minute mark. They are pretty close there, as look at Lakota and Espo playing very well onto the goal zone of Shungite, and that Unite move comes out and they're buying a lot of time. This is a great time to get a lot of points in. Can GT convert? But here comes OG. Idol is in there. Idol uses their Unite move. They're trying to find some KOs. Can they find 1? The Mamoswine goes down early again, which is a bit of a surprise here, but Lakoting's trying to get on the retreat. Here comes the engage by Idol, but it's the Blastoise that cuts them off. What is a bug to a torrential downpour of water? Absolutely nothing, Zoinks.
Yeah, nothing at all. Great defensive presence there from the Blastoise. Shut out to Black for a great goalkeeping attempt there. Now, only 12 seconds until this basement Reggie spawns. It will be relevant for about 10 to 20 seconds. It could be knocked out quickly, but Eldegoss and Mamoswine not the Pokemon to do so. GT showing a lot of presence. You're seeing the pings from Shungite now. GT has arrived. Eggnoob on that split defense in case Shungite wanted a bit of a split push to increase their lead even more. Being said, Regirock is only steal potential for the Eldegoss, not quite enough to close it out. Decidueye is going to lock that one up.
These shields are going to be there for the first couple moments of Rayquaza here, as Eggnoob did a great job defending the top goal zone. No back cap action for Shungite available. They're up 314 to 81, so really the pressure's on GT here to make a move, and Shungite just to not get caught out. And that's a nice little dodge by rolling it down from the arrow. But GT's chipping in. They're trying to find them space, and we got Espo and Lakoting all over that Rayquaza, forcing rolling it down to play very far forward, but nobody's looking to dance quite yet. We got a middle school prom situation. Everybody's on the opposite sides of the gym, but here we go. That's a deep engage by OG as they get their Unite move. They deal tons of damage. They need to convert. The Decidueye Unite move comes out from the backfield, and they're trying to take out OG, but OG finds their way down into the face of Lakoting, and Lakoting closes the door on them, but Idol getting the Hoopa in the Hoopa unbound form back the other way, and Idol with another KO streak of 2 as Black and Lakoting are forced all the way up to their tier 2 goal zone here. 3 players down for GT, and Shungite has no pressure to start this Rayquaza at all, and I'm not sure what rolling it down is doing, but I would catch a little reset there for you, bud. You don't want to be doing in there too much damage.
Well, as soon as, if Rayquaza hasn't been hit at all, it wouldn't be dealing any damage to the members of GT, and you wouldn't have any information yet if they were nearby. So I assume that was what the presence was done. Black on the door of 14, rolling it down with a big engage rapid spin to try to create a little bit of space. It does so, but OG finds an engage, but it's just a strafe. They get it a good amount of damage, locked up by Eknoob, and almost knocked out thanks to a Spirit Shackle.
Huge chunk Spirit Shackle, Confusion Blast with the barrier. They're rolling through, and it's Lakoding that's getting really low. Can Rima close it out on them? No, Idol gets there for the support, and they get credit for it. This Rayquaza is going down, and it's all over. And it's Eknoob that seals it up, the Mr. Mime. And now it's an absolute scramble job because we're in Ducket time, and it's Hundo Burgers on the menu as GT has a lot of points they need to get in, but there's only 13 seconds left. Zoinks, they're scrambling here. Eknoob uses their Unite move. Idol's trying to hold it down. They're trying to shred the shields, but it's fruitless endeavor here. We got 2 more Hundo Burgers going in, an 86-pointer here. GT might have just caught back up and closed the door on this one.
Eknoob's got some sticky hands. That was, and not the item, that was an absolute theft. Rayquaza going over to the GT makes absolutely no sense whatsoever, but they find the secure and they find some big scores. We gotta take a look at the final score line, and there it is. GT with an absolute robbery in game number 2. They find the victory 2-0 as our final score line.
200 and I believe 86 points in the last final throws of that one, and that's good eating if you're GT. They eke it out in game 2 to win this series 2-0 against Shungite.
True, and we would be remiss if we didn't say absolute shout-outs there to Idol. I think it was 15 knockouts in total in the end. 85k damage is maybe not the most impressive number we've ever seen, but still, the impact they had on the game was incredible. If I'm looking at GT, though, Black and Lakoding absolutely popped off this game. Kratos is just, of course, your stand-in, constant damage with Spirit Shackles, making it so that Shungite couldn't get anywhere near without being absolutely popped by a big burst of damage, but Lakoding was the one constantly getting in there, doing damage, but not giving up their life easily. They were kiting really, really well, making OG and rolling it, and even Idol at times chased them down within range of Kratos and still kept their life, which is so important. Great team play from GT, really showing off just the long-time coordination that they have built up as a team.
Yeah, great tenacity as a squad to hang in there, find their way in, understand what they need to do. Yeah, you know, you roll the dice a little bit. They came up heads. They came up double sixes for them. Right. A little bit of Yahtzee action for old GT, and they're able to convert and score. Great look by Shungite. That's a team we're going to be looking forward to seeing more of in the future, for certain.
Could not agree more with you, Dube Snacks. We are going to be watching GT headed into our final game, though. It is going to be them versus the winners of last game, which, of course, is Zeus. So we have the some incredible teams to watch, some of the best in North America versus some of the best in Brazil for our finals. We are going to jump to a short break so we can get everything sorted out for you. We will be back before you know it. Do not go anywhere. This is Unite Mics Mayhem Season 2.